Woo-hoo! It's confetti time, balloons too. This is the 50th episode of After Dark Radio Show. Yep, the last 12 months, we've been putting out some great shows for you, the listeners, from sexperts to erotic writers to relationship experts. We have had the best time, really pulling back the curtains and letting it all hang out. Woohoo! And tonight, my two guests are bringing their sassy, sexy humor and insights to help me celebrate. I feel so honored. Hey, this is Andy Lyons, and welcome to After Dark Radio Show. I'm so thrilled you're joining me for this 50th episode of fascinating, entertaining, and arousing conversation. I'm here every Wednesday at 11 p.m. on A2Zen.fm, sharing tips, tools, and resources to help you increase intimacy, sensual pleasure, and best of all, sexual excitement in your life. If your days are like mine, you want to listen to great advice and sexy stuff while you're doing mindless tasks like washing dishes, folding laundry, working out, or doing your nails. It's so easy to download an episode of After Dark Radio Show via iTunes. Just hit the iTunes subscribe button and download your favorites. Easy breezy. And yeah, I love your feedback or any questions you may have lingering. So shoot me an email at Andy, that's Andy with an E, at bringbackdesire.com and let me know what's going on. Or you can tweet me at Andy Lyons. I'm always hanging out at the bar. I mean Twitter. Now, if you want to spice things up between the sheets with your beloved partner, then absolutely visit my tasteful, playful website, bringbackdesire.com, where you'll find everything you need to get out of your head and back into bed. A quick reminder, After Dark Radio Show is intended for grown-up audiences only, because we talk about everything here. So, listeners, hold on to your collars, your whips, and your buzzboys, because we're sharing the love of leather tonight with the award-winning erotic author, Laura Antoniou. Laura is the author of the sensational tongue-in-cheek murder mystery, The Killer Wore Leather. She also authored the well-known Marketplace series of erotic novels, and she has also edited the groundbreaking Leatherwomen anthologies. And she writes scholarly work on BDSM. How wonderful is that? In 2011, Laura won the Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Leather Association. That is a huge deal. Her work has been translated into Spanish, German, Hebrew, Japanese, and Korean, with over 20 years of experience writing, teaching, and speaking about kinky sex communities. Laura has sold over 600,000 books. Dang, that's a lot. What I appreciate most about Laura is how she tunes us in, turns us on, and keeps us laughing out loud. That is such a gift. Welcome, Laura, to After Dark Radio.
Thank you, Andy. What a great introduction.
Well, it's such a treat to have you sharing the wit, the wisdom, and the darkly delicious world of edgy, kinky erotica with us tonight. I just get excited saying those words, Laura.
Well, imagine writing them.
I can only imagine. Now, before we dive into your 20-plus years of writing, I'd love to know how writing erotica became such a passion for you. You grew up in Queens, right? Queens, New York?
That is true. I am a native New Yorker. I've never lived anywhere else.
So you're all East Coast.
My wife likes to joke that I'm the small-town girl because I've never lived more than 5 miles away from the house I grew up in.
Oh my gosh! And so, did you go to school in that area? I mean, how did you become? How did you become fond of writing? Was this something you picked up as a kid, and it just translated into adulthood?
Oh, I was writing as a very small child. I was a precocious reader. I read before I went to elementary school, and I started writing my own stories very, very early. And I would share them with my friends, and sometimes we would act them out. Yeah. And that was always fun. Later on in my early teens, I got involved in the whole role-playing game thing. Back in those days, you played it at a table, in person with people.
Belly to belly, face to face?
Seriously. There were no computers involved. And so that was another way of storytelling that I really loved.
Now, would you start the story off and then the next person would take it, and then the next person, like that?
Well, basically, I would set the story. I would describe their surroundings and the situation, and the players of the game would tell me what they would do in response to what was happening around them, how they would take action. And then
you were a good friend to have.
Well, I was easily bored. I was one of those kids who needed constant diversion.
Got it. Oh, I would have loved hanging with you then, because I felt the same way. Okay, then you went off to college, or is that where you got more experience?
And then I went off to college, and I was quite the outspoken feminist and a bit of an activist, and probably a bit of an idiot because, college. But right about that time, my gay friends started to get sick and die.
Oh, I know. That'd be early 80s?
Yes. And I left school in order to work. And while I was working, I saw a job opening with the People Within Coalition. They needed someone to design their newsletters. And it just so happened I knew how to do that because I designed a gaming magazine. And so I went to work for them. And while I was working there, we were trying to figure out a way to encourage men to use condoms. This was before retrovirals. There was no treatment for HIV. People died of it constantly.
Of course.
And so I started writing little erotic vignettes to eroticize the use of safer sex.
I love this.
And one day, someone told me if I made them 2,000 words longer, they would be short stories, and she would pay me $50 for them.
Wow.
And so I started writing erotica, basically, to encourage men to use condoms by writing porn.
I love that. I mean, who can say that, first of all? But at the same time, that was such what a wonderful idea. I came of age at the same time as you did, so I know what it was like, and I definitely lost some dear, dear friends at a time where people were still scratching their heads and didn't know what was going on, and it was a death sentence to get HIV. And
at the same time, you didn't want to tell people not to have sex.
I mean, come on.
Sex is one of the primary ways that anyone can maintain mental and physical health. The lack of physical contact with other men was easily as devastating as any infection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's how you create a deeper connection with life, is having the celebration of sex. But it had to be done in a way that it was honoring and cherishing it and safe by wearing a condom.
And a lot of kinky sex, by the way, is safer sex because it doesn't involve the exchange of bodily fluids.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Okay, so now this goes into, because you're learning this whole wonderful subculture that most people don't.
I was kinky.
Well, okay, you were kinky. So
yes.
Then you were already familiar with the role of a good dom and a good sub and all the areas of play that you were writing about.
Well, I wasn't using that specific language, which is a little more contemporary to the current time, I think. But yeah, I knew about SM and kinky sex, and I was investigating the whole leather community at that time, going to contests and conferences, living in leather, dressing for pleasure, things like that, all over the country. And in fact, I became an officer in some organizations, and I produced a leather contest, and I did all of those things inside the whack 80s and through the 90s.
Wow. Now,
and then I started writing and teaching.
So how would you describe erotica to the listeners?
Erotica is what turns me on. Porn is what turns those dangerous deviants over there on.
Thank you. Round of applause.
Right? Isn't that the way people use it? They want to say, erotica is positive and loving and blah, 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 and porn is negative, nasty, and demeaning. And I'm like, you know what? If what gets me off is negative and nasty and demeaning, then it's still erotic to me.
Absolutely.
So it's erotica.
It's the space within which you hold it. And erotica just means illumination. So it's illuminating a side that triggers wonderful sensations in your brain, in your body, etc. And so when you chose to write erotica, we now know why, and you continue to bring us the world of leather right? When you started to, like, when did you start the Marketplace series?
In 1992, I started writing the first book.
Okay.
So the release of the first book, The Marketplace, happened this month, 20 years ago.
Oh my gosh! Congratulations.
Yeah. And the reason why I started writing those is because there was no other porn like them.
Right.
I live in a world where there are people of all different body shapes and ages and skin colors and sexual orientations and identities. And what I found is that a lot of other writers in porn are much more narrowly defined. They, how do you describe it? They write for a narrow audience because they're writing specifically to get that audience off. Right? So if you're writing for men who are like men, that's all you can write about.
That's
and
right.
so I took a chance, and I wrote this story that had people of all different orientations in it. And I wrote it primarily because it was for me. And then it took off.
I love that. And what's great about your writing is how you flow seamlessly in and out of all the sexual preferences and differences. It makes everybody feel like one big happy family.
Well, or not. I mean, I know I'm doing the right thing when I get an equal number of pieces of email that tell me that I'm doing it wrong. Because if enough people are writing me and saying, I love your books, but I wish there wasn't so much gay sex in them, and if enough gay people are writing and saying, I love your books, but I wish there weren't all those heterosexuals in them, then I think I must be doing it right.
But see, I love the fact, and a lot of the books, of course, that I carry at Bring Back Desire are from the erotic romantic genre because there's relationships involved and all that. But gosh, everything swings through, in and out. It's, someone's fallen in love at the end. It doesn't matter if it's two guys, two gals, two gals and a guy, two guys and a gal, poly, bi, whatever.
Because the definition of romance is that the story ends happily.
Right.
It used to be that the story ends happily ever after, but now we have more romance that ends happily for now, which means that at least we believe this will last for a while. My books are not romance.
Yeah, no. Yours are. Well, describe how yours are different.
Well, for one thing, I don't do the happily ever after stories. My novels are an ongoing series of a large cast of characters. Some of them, come back repeatedly because obviously they're my favorites. Yeah. Over a lifetime. And so, no, they're not always going to settle down with one partner. And also because of the very nature of their relationships, I write about people in a full-time economic master-slave relationship where people are actually owned.
Right.
This is not something that you would think of as equivalent to marriage.
Right.
All right, so this is not a romance. It's more like a long, like a mini-series. It's an epic saga that happens to have a lot of kinky sex in it.
And a lot, and really eye-opening for those who are not part of this culture, really, truly amazingly deep understanding of the benefits of this lifestyle, of leather, of how this can free you up, no matter where you're coming from in life, whatever your sexual preferences. There's an amazing release that can happen, a deeper relationship, etc. But it's not always pretty, or it's not always something that the mainstream is fond of. But it is wonderful, and it's great writing.
Well, of course, since 50 Shades of Grey came out, we now know that the mainstream does like a little kinky stuff.
Well,
they just
unfortunately,
like to be horrified by it.
Right. Well, the 50 Shades of Grey was absolutely ridiculous. In fact, I wrote a post called 6 Myths About BDSM inspired by 50 Shades of Grey because the inaccurate portrayal of just about everything, including writing, the poor author, I mean, God, it wasn't her plan to become that big. But listeners, I have to tell you, Laura I howled when I watched her YouTube parody of 50 Shades of Grey called 50 Shades of Sellout. I'll put the link in the archives. It is absolutely hilarious. What prompted you, because I can't stop laughing when I watch this, what prompted you to create this video?
people were writing and talking about 50 Shades of Grey and 50 Shades of Grey, and I had no desire to read the books, but so many people were talking about them. One day, I just decided to write a parody, and the overall parody is called 50 Shades of Crap, and there are actually 3 parts, because, 3 books.
Mm-hmm.
And I posted it on Facebook one day, and it took hundreds of people linked to it. And they said, you have to put it someplace else. And so I put it on FetLife, which is, a large kinky website, and it went to Kinky and Popular there. And then my friend Bo asked me to read it so that he could record it and put it on YouTube. And so I read the first part. And then it was purchased. All 3 parts were purchased for a book called 50 Writers on 50 Shades of Grey. And it's one of the only 2 parodies in the book. 50 writers and 48 of them wrote seriously about the book.
I can't imagine. That is so funny. Hey, everyone, I'm Andy Lyons, and you're listening to After Dark Radio Show on A2Zen.fm, and I'm having a sensationally kinky conversation tonight with the oh-so-fabulous Laura Antoniou. Please hop onto her website. It's the letter L, ANTONIOU.com. You are going to find an abundance of kinky writing as well as rants and raves, speeches that she has written. They're all so wonderful. It's a great, what a compilation of amazing work on your website, Laura, including your newest book, which is so much fun, The Killer Wore Leather. And listeners, this is a laugh-out-loud whodunit, where you're completely immersed in the private underworld of BDSM, and every single page of this book is a feast, in my opinion, for the senses and the funny bone, because it's like, seriously, you can open any page and find fabulousness, whether you're an ingenue or you're leather-hearted, right? Laura, from the character's name, and is it pronounced Feldblum or Blum?
Feldblum.
Feldblum.
Rebecca Feldblum's the detective.
How great is that name alone? Not to mention her partner. Not to mention there's Leather Dreams, Mr. Bondage Kilt Man. I loved that one. And Bitsy. You make my heart sing.
What's your name, Bitsy?
The cleverness. It's so much. Did you have a great time coming up with all the characters' names?
Oh my God, so much fun. So much fun. And what's really funny is how many times since then I have met people who said, I use that name online or something like that. And how many times during the editing of the book I was coming up with fake leather titles. And my wife or our roommate, Melina Williams, who is an international Ms. Leather, would look up from their work, and they would say, oh, no, there is a Mr. Des Moines Leather. You need to change that. And I was like, God damn! But I was wondering that. I was running out of facetious titles, and I was just pulling them out of nothing, and they were making less and less sense. But it's a funny world, the world of leather contests and kinky conferences, and it is amazing to me that no one yet has written a book about that world that's set in the realistic version of it. This is not the world of CSI, of mysterious forbidding mistresses and guys who are serial killers picking up submissive women, and that's the real world is a bunch of people who pack up their fancy clothing, go to a Holiday Inn by a highway, and take classes in the art of spanking culture.
And that's the reality. It's just regular folk doing something that makes their heart sing, and going deeper and delving into it. It's not this dungeon-like, feeling that many people portray, right? Right.
Yeah. It's certainly not this bizarre, seductive trap where once you go in, you get sucked in by ever-increasing demands and wind up, dead in a basement someplace. It's a subculture of people trying to improve their sex lives or trying to find the right partner in order to enjoy a healthy and positive sex life. And so, I loved writing this book because it gave me a chance to write about my beloved leather community, both poking fun at it, which I'm allowed to do. I've been around for 30 years, and I hope showing my deep, deep affection for all the wackiness that we get on with.
It's delicious. I mean, not to compare you to another writer like a David Sedaris, but it has that same heartfelt love and affection for a world that is, like you said, just searching for ways to have more meaning on a physical and emotional and spiritual level, because that's really what really good sex is all about. Now, the fact that you made it into a whodunit, Laura, come on. Mm-hmm. That was great. Had you written a mystery before?
No, I've never written a mystery before. I thought it would be funny to write it as a mystery because, hey, there have been so many times when I've been standing on a hotel balcony looking down at 300 people, mostly dressed alike, and thought, hey, wouldn't it be hard to find a murder suspect here? Because they'd be like, well, they were wearing black leather pants and boots and a leather shirt, and I'd be like, yeah, like 99 out of 100 guys downstairs. And so that alone was funny. And then later on, and I was like, yeah, but what if I treated it that the mystery was that it was a murder? The mystery is not that someone kinky did it.
Right.
The kink has nothing to do with it. I mean, the kink is the setting.
It's the setting, and it's the wonderful deliciousness of your characters in the setting.
But it's not the crime.
But it's not the crime, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's the perfect, seriously, by the pool, at the beach, you want to get away and have a good time, drop the nonfiction, grab the killer wore leather. It's so much fun. And also, when you hop onto Amazon.com or you go to global-leather.com, and by the way, I love the sound of that whip. Snap.
Oh my God, you found our spoof website.
Yes, I did. Of course I did. It's so much fun. Anyway, you'll see from all the reviews, all the comments, etc., that this is a kinky version of Clue. It is so much fun. Just like in the movie Clue, they really expanded the characters and fleshed them out and made them so fun and delicious. That's exactly what Laura's done in this book. And I just had such a good time, so I just want to thank you for writing it, period. Now, you've been with your darling wife, Karen, for how long?
15 years this autumn.
Oh, congratulations.
And as of today,
the 26th of June, 2013.
Our marriage is federally recognized.
Oh my God! Because didn't California do something too?
Well, yes. The California decision is a little more nuanced, but the federal level decision, turning away DOMA, the Defensive Marriage Act, means that for the first next year we can file jointly on our federal tax return.
Get out of tune!
Yes.
Bravo. This is a great day, world. Great day.
It'll be the first time that millions of people will be happy to file their taxes.
I know. Exactly. It's just, to prevent people from loving each other and letting the world know that they love each other in this fundamental way. I've never understood what the problem is, that it has to be between a man and a wife or just one man and one woman. Really, it's about being committed to sharing life together. Is that how you feel, Laura?
You know what? I think as long as whatever you're doing does not harm the person or property of someone else,
there you go.
Then it's no one else's business.
That's right. There we go.
And personally, I do agree with a lot of my more libertarian-minded friends that the government should get out of the wedding business altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And that if we want to make legal contracts for people to share all of our assets and have, prenups and everything like that, everyone should be able to do it if they can legally sign a document with anyone else who could legally sign a document. So I don't care if you live in a multi-generational, polyamorous line marriage of 16 people. If y'all want to sign some contracts and make it, whatever you want to make it, fine. Just get the government out of it completely.
Absolutely.
However, I understand that's not going to happen. And so we work with the structures we have.
That's right.
We celebrate when we win. We are sad when we lose, and we move forward.
There we go.
I don't think that the government is going to be reaching out a hand to the kinky population anytime soon,
In spite of 50 Shades of Grey's popularity.
Exactly.
And the movie that will be coming out, obviously, from that, which is very disheartening for me personally, because I really am about the true world of the kinky, versus...
They should make a movie of the killer wore leather. That would be one funny movie.
That would be phenomenal. Come on. Absolutely. I mean, in 50 Shades of Grey, he doesn't even do oral sex. I mean, that's just wrong, okay? So
Doesn't?
No. What good Dom doesn't perform?
Damaged. Oh, God, he's damaged in so many
Totally
ways.
damaged. Now, you've been with Karen for 15 years. It takes certain ingredients to help a relationship last that long. Do you have any secret sauce recipes or?
We do some goofy things, like we do tell each other we love each other every day. We hold hands in public a lot.
Yay.
And do the physical affection thing. When we are together, we maximize our pleasure and do everything we can to minimize strife. And in the Jewish tradition, we keep a shalom bayit, a house of peace, which means that anytime there is strife between us, we count the winner as the first one to end it.
Wow.
The first one to let it go is the better partner. And so once we establish that, sometimes, when we fail and someone will say a hateful or hurtful thing, or, plans don't go well and we're frustrated or angry and take it out on each other, the first person to make the conciliatory gesture wins. And sometimes we look at each other and we both say at the same time, I win.
This is phenomenal advice. I'm going to write this up because, seriously, everything you just said, those are the ingredients it takes to have a wonderful, expansive, deep, connected on every level relationship. So thank you, Laura, so much for sharing that.
My pleasure.
We only have a minute or so left. Listeners, please feel free to reach out to and follow Laura via her website. That's the letter LANTONIOU.com. She's on Facebook, Twitter. I'll have all the archives, the links in the archives on Bring Back Desire's website. Now, if you want a free copy of The Killer Wore Leather, then tweet me at Andy Lyons or shoot me an email at Andy, that's Andy with an E, at bringbackdesire.com with the message, The Killer Wore Leather. And I will hold a drawing, randomly selecting a winner, and we'll contact the winner directly with details. So trust me, this is so this is a fabulous summer read, and I'm saying good luck to everyone who participates in the free copy because you will absolutely love it. Kinky, deliciously funny, spectacular Laura. It was such a pleasure having you on the show tonight.
It was terrific, Andy. Thanks so much for hosting.
I do hope you come up to Boston, and if you do, I will be right there in the front row with a big grin on my face, so thrilled to see you. And I will stay in touch, obviously, in the cyber world, but who knows, we could hurl someday. That's HIRL, hang out in real life, everyone. But I just want to thank you for bringing your fabulous view of the world to the After Dark radio show listeners. You're really a remarkable woman, and it's an honor to have shared this time with you. Thank you.
And thank you for keeping it real after dark.
Yay! We're going to take a quick break, everyone. When we return, we're going to continue to keep it real and laughing out loud because Witty Woman Writing, Tammy Black, is sharing the love with us tonight. You're listening to After Dark Radio Show with Andy Lyons on A2Zen.FM.
Did you know that a sexually satisfied woman is happier and healthier? It's true. At bringbackdesire.com, you'll find tips, tools, and resources that are tasteful, playful, and arousing to deepen the intimacy, sensuality, and sexual excitement in your life. Everything a gal needs to get out of her head and back into bed. So go ahead, put down that to-do list, and join us. Explore, read a few special stories. Who knows? You may find yourself happier and healthier, too. Has bedroom foreplay become chore play? Are you saying, not tonight, honey, more often than you'd like? Then it's time to get out of your head and back into bed. At bringbackdesire.com, you'll find tips, tools, and resources that are tasteful, playful, and arousing to increase the intimacy, sensuality, and sexual excitement in your life. Remember, a happy and healthy sex life is a state of mind, so get yours tuned in and turned on at bringbackdesire.com.
And And welcome back to After Dark Radio on A2Zen.fm. This is Andy Lyons, and I am crazy in love with the amazingly talented and oh-so-funny writer, Tammy Black of WittyWomanWriting.com. I've been following Tammy religiously for almost 2 years, and frankly, yes, I stalk her. That's really a more accurate word. But let me share with you about Tammy, because she is a proficient columnist, a ghostwriter, blogger, and author of the award-winning book, Single Past 50. Now what? The award-winning blog, Witty Woman Writing. A distinguished speaker, Tammy is an expert on how to monetize the written word via social media, blogs, and networking venues. In her commentary work, she is known for her humor and has often been compared to Irma Bombeck and dubbed the female Andy Rooney. Her writing has been published in countless magazines and newspapers such as the Huffington Post, Los Angeles Daily News, the Denver Post, the Rocky Mountain News, the Portland Post. I mean, I could go on forever. A notable writer for hire, our Tammy is a trusted and proven ghostwriter, best known for her celebrity profiles, commentary pieces, award-winning blog, self-help columns, writing critiques, and authority pieces. Tammy is a highly regarded coach, and she works with aspiring writers and bloggers. But what I love best about Tammy Black is her ability to say with words what many of us want to say, but for whatever reason we cannot express. Welcome, Tammy Black, to After Dark Radio Show.
Wow, it's so awesome to be here. I'm listening to my own bio and going, who is that person?
Who is that multi-talented goddess, for crying out loud?
She is awesome. No, I'm kidding. Oh, what a pleasure. I have to tell you, I so enjoyed your segment earlier and think Laura is awesome.
What a writer. I tell you, when I say you can pick up all her books, but her Whodunit, The Killer Wore Leather, I mean, every single page, it's fun, and the character name's Tammy. You will love. You will love it.
Well, I'm putting in for the free copy, so
okay.
I'll put my hat in the ring on that one.
Okay. Well, this is such a treat to actually share space and time with you, because we chat a lot on Twitter, and I'm always posting on your blogs, and I tell you, it's so rewarding to leave a comment on Tammy Black's Witty Woman Writing blog, because she responds, and she doesn't respond with just a thanks. She responds with like a heartfelt response, and not just me, to everybody who leaves a comment. We find the time to do that, Tammy.
I make the time to do it. Blogging is about relationships, and you and I have never met, and I believe this is actually the first time we've ever spoken.
It is.
But we have built a relationship through the blog. Yes. I've gotten to know you and how you feel and how you react, and same with you and me, and I've been lucky enough to do that with thousands of people that I talk with on my blog. It's so funny because when they talk with me on my blog, it's as if we've been best friends for 30 years and we've never met. But it's kind of what it's about, isn't it?
Right, exactly. That really is the beauty of social media, is that you don't have to go down to the coffee shop to find these peeps. You can find like-minded or not like-minded wonderful people all over the world. And
I've also found a lot of people that are not so fond of me.
There we go, and that's okay.
My daughter says you're nobody till somebody hates you.
I love it, the precious daughter. But Tammy, okay, so what happened? When did you start writing? Did you know this about yourself as a kid, or did you have like a head injury and you woke up writing? What happened?
No, I think I was good at writing. I was one of those kids that was terrible at math but good at English.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us like that, but it never really occurred to me. I've had 5 different careers in my life, and as I approached 50, which was 10 years ago, I wanted to enter an encore career that meant I didn't have to bust my chops on the freeways 3 hours commute. I wanted to get something, and I thought, I've never tried writing. I toyed with the idea, but then something happened. After a 28-year marriage, I filed for divorce.
Wow.
And it was, I thought it was going to be okay because we tried to remain friends, and we did for many years, but it was brutal. And you know what helped me through it was writing about it. I actually went to the bookstore because that's what so many of us do when we're in trouble. We go to find that self-help book that's going to walk us through it. And I was looking for a book to talk to a midlife woman who had spent her whole life being Mrs. somebody and mom to somebody, and all of a sudden woke up and was neither. Kid was off to college and no husband. All I found were books that were telling you how to find a man, how to flirt with a man, how to catch a man, how to marry a man. But there was nothing telling me how to live happily ever after without one.
Wow.
And I didn't understand why. Not that I wanted to, but at that moment I certainly saw it as my only option. So I wrote one. About a kind of survival guide for the midlife woman who finds herself standing at the gate of midlife by herself, a party of one. You know, when you go to a restaurant and they say, how many in your party? And you kind of go, one.
Yeah.
One.
First of all, I just love that statement, happily ever after as a party of one, because at the end of the day, if you're not happy with who you are, in your skin, in your body, with your life, you're not happy with somebody. And I've always said I'd rather be alone and unhappy than with someone and unhappy.
Absolutely, because you know what? That is the worst kind of loneliness, isn't it?
Oh, it's the worst. And
if you're sitting in a room with somebody and you're alone and you're lonesome and you're happy and you know that that's not how it should be, man, that's awful.
Oh, it's very awful. But I before we talk more about your single at 50 now what, because I have a lot of questions around that, I still want to say that this having 5 different careers already in life, that's really a wonderful, extraordinary life. And what I love about your writing and your blog is that you have no problem being fully transparent, Tammy. I mean, how hard is it to share your experiences and view of the world with the world?
I get asked that a lot, and I don't find it difficult at all. I find it difficult to not include silly details that I care so much about, but that other people I know won't. So I edit myself out, but I am nothing if I'm not frank, and I do get sometimes blasted for it, but it is why the Huffington Post picked me up. I think because I am super transparent, and I do talk about my flaws, and anybody that reads my blog knows that I love my kid, with the breath of me, my 28-year-old beautiful daughter who is married for 2 years now, that I have an ex-husband that I wish karma would visit at some point, anytime. And I have a little dog that rules my life, and I have this wonderful man in my life that has made me the luckiest girl ever. So I'm personal. I mean, I don't think people read my blog to get what's going on in other people's lives. They want to know what's going on in mine.
Well, and as I said in the introduction, and I've said to you too, personally, i.e. on your blog, is you have this extraordinary gift, Tammy. You are able to put into words and express in the written venue what so many of us wish we could.
Oh, Andy, thank you so much.
And don't know how. And it's just like, that's what I think many of your followers, readers, and listeners, when you're giving your speeches, say to themselves, like, yes, there it is. That's what I was thinking or feeling or wanting to express. Tammy just nailed it. And it's so beautiful. And I've gone through many issue reading your posts, especially the ode to your beautiful kidlet, your gorgeous daughter of 28 years. That was really, really something special, Tammy.
Thank you for that. I that was the easiest post I've ever written. I think I wrote the whole 1,000-word piece in about 15 minutes because you just put your fingers on the typewriter and you just close your eyes and you just type your little heart out. And I was so pleased and privileged that HuffPost picked that up. I think it has over 6,000 or 7,000 shares.
Oh, I would think.
Yeah, really nice. Really nice.
Well, and everybody, Tammy was kind enough to share a post at Bring Back Desire's website on the Desire blog called Are We Ever Too Old for Sex? And I just have to say thank you, Tammy. I really pulled it off a post that she had written. I just said, can I repurpose, please? Because it is the big question many people have, and I know for many women I know, when they reach 50, they're like, okay, never have to do that again. And as Laura was just saying, it's so important to, as far as connecting with yourself, with someone else, and yes, you're so funny when you write about it because you're saying, look, it's the same as it was? No. All right, we're shifting here. This is different. That's different. And really one of the comments had me laughing out loud where the woman said, hey, sometimes it's holding onto the bedpost and I'm screaming, and other times it's cuddling on the couch. it takes on new meaning, but really the writing that you do is so amazing. And the other thing that you do is that consistently, week after week, you provide a great blog post through Witty Woman Writing. And how is it, first of all, how did you come up with the name Witty Woman, and how is it you are so consistent?
Oh, well, I really wanted Wicked Woman Writing. Somebody took it.
Oh, dang.
I'm like, what? Who is this bitch? No, I'm kidding. I have to tell you, that post that I wrote about Are We Ever Too Old for Sex, I got a call from my daughter who said, I said, hi, honey, and she said, Mom. Really? Mom.
Really?
Sex on the kitchen table? Really, Mom? Really?
I have to go wash my eyes out now with Clorox, right?
My friends are going to read this. I'm like, well, Amanda, I always have something to say. I always have something to say, and I always have an opinion about something. So I don't think that coming up with one article to write about every week has really ever been a problem for me.
See, I love that. I love it. Hey, everyone, I'm Andy Lyons, and you're listening to After Dark Radio Show on A2Zen.FM, and I am one thrilled and excited goddess to be sharing such a lively and oh-so-delicious conversation tonight with one of my favorite gal pals, cyber gal pals, Tammy Black of WittyWomanWriting.com. So let's talk some about Single at 50, Now What? I have this in our May We Help You category at Bring Back Desire's library because it's such a terrific survival guide and can help many other women, as you said earlier, find how their life can be vibrant and fulfilling as a party for one. So you took your own experience and put it into this book, but what are just one or two quick tips that you can share with us that can really help someone who is listening right now who has found herself in midlife at an exciting time?
I think what I would like to share is what I didn't know. I interviewed 100 women with the help of ARP magazine. They gave me this information between the ages of 50 and 69. And out of 100 women, 98 of them said they would not remarry. They wanted to have monogamous relationships. They wanted to have sex. They wanted to have a forever after, but they didn't want to marry for the privilege. And what I found out in this study that I did was that single women past 50, seriously, are having better sex, are less depressed, have better social lives. We travel more, we get more rest, we have better bodies, we're smarter, and we achieve more in life. And that is all proven. And it is because, first of all, our age, you get a lot of wisdom and patience with age. We do live longer. Unhappily married women gain an average of 54 pounds in the first 10 years of marriage.
Oh
What?
My gosh.
What? A bedmate can often causes you to lose an average of almost an hour of sleep a night. So we're better rested. There's just, it's not, when you're first single and you've been married, it's a little bit of a stigma that, no, it's a big stigma. Yeah, and it stinks, and you're depressed, and you're like, what? This is not my life plan. I ended up with the cat and the dog to feed and my kid off to college and no job, and I went, what the hell just happened? But
and did he go off with the trophy younger wife?
No, he didn't. I was the one that instigated the divorce. But I got to tell you, it took him 3 months before he was out there, stooping half the world, and it took me 3 years. So the tortoise wins the race.
There we go.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. We often hear, oh my gosh, if it's a widow or a divorcee at this time of life, wait a minute, are you supposed to be getting that home in Florida or going on the vacations and on the cruises? And that's crazy. Women, when they are done with their procreating capability, it's now time to step into the most thriving, exciting time of their lives. And so I imagine, Tammy, this is something else that you found out. Women were ready to create and move and do remarkable things at this stage without the 6-hour commute.
Absolutely. And, it's interesting because here's another statistic that is awesome. It's just so awesome. Most of the small businesses that were started last year were started by women over 50.
Yay!
Right? I mean, and people will say, well, that's because they can't get jobs or nobody can hire them. And part of that is true. Part of that is true. They said
it's discrimination.
Yes, they spent 13, 15, 20 years home raising their kids, and now they want to go out. But a lot of it is because they have the courage, they have the insight, they have. I mean, I can't say enough good things about mature women. I love them, and I just can't speak the truth loud enough that there is so much to offer and so much going on for us. And I say that, people say, well, that's easy for you to say. You met someone, and you're just in the throes of love and all that jazz, and I'm super lucky, and it fell into my life. He is a person I knew in high school, by the way.
Oh, cool. I love
right?
that.
How about that?
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, I wanted to share with you, I sent this chapters to a publisher, and he decided to publish it, and halfway through he called me and he said, "You don't have any sex in this book." And I went, okay.
What, so do I get out my vibrator and have a good time? What?
We need a chapter on sex. A single past 50 is not going to sell very well without sex. And I said, I haven't had any sex for 3 years. I hardly remember. He said, well, then he says to me, well, Tammy, go out and have some. And
I love it. That's a man's response. Go fix it.
Right?
Go out and have some. I love it.
You know what I wrote about? I wrote about not having sex. I wrote about having smart sex, and I wrote about how to satisfy yourself.
Yes.
And then I got as I started my speaking career a couple of years after the book came out, a very large church, which shall remain nameless, in Colorado Springs, hired me with a nice chunk of change to come speak to their congregation's divorce workshop. And when somebody in the interim read the book and fired me before I even got up there because I talked about masturbation.
The M word. Tickle your fancy, as we try to say in nice terms. But yeah, I mean, it is key.
Right.
For any woman at any time in her life. The physical side effects alone, let alone how it grounds us into our bodies, it gets us remembering why we're vibrant and delicious creatures. Oh my gosh, Tammy.
I know. I was so mortified. And I'm sitting in this man's desk, which is palatial and wonderful, and he's saying, the church, we don't do that. We don't condone it. I said, well, I'm pretty sure everybody here does it. I'm pretty sure. And he's looking at me, and he looks down at his desk, and he said, well, we hope not. And I was mortified. Yeah, I just picked up my purse, and I said, thank you for the opportunity, which you took away from me.
Yes.
And I just want to share with you that about 6 months later, he was busted as being in a hot tub with a bunch of young boys, and his church went down the tube. So, I mean, this is what happens when you're not honest with yourself, true to yourself, and
that's right.
and honest with your body. Come on, guys.
And it can be, sex is so important, whether it's kinky, which is, as Laura mentioned earlier, when she started writing kinky sex, it was because in the 80s, so many men were dying, and she needed to find a way to communicate safe sex while still honoring the passion and still honoring the connection. And touching yourself is so important. But to go back to what you were saying, at the age of 50, when I turned 50, I was like, had several businesses, but dang, I really thought I had one more in me. Oh, well, it's too late. And then, boom, Bring Back Desire showed up, and I thought, oh, well, no. I mean, that's for a younger woman talking about sex, not someone after the age of 50.
Oh,
but it's really so important at any age to be enjoying this, not just the right of sex, but to be enjoying doing a work that fulfills you and is your passion. And now, for you, Tammy, you are a one-stop rodeo for all types of writers and writers, because when you visit Tammy's website, folks, Tammy blogs. She does professional speeches everywhere, entertains audiences everywhere, and she ghostwrites, and she offers writers coaching. I mean, you can do a 30-minute jam session, a 1-hour jam session, or monthly coaching. And she, as I said in the introduction, she helps you, here's that special word, monetize your writing. How delicious is that? Tammy, how did you decide to offer these services, and why?
Well, I'll tell you, I got into the writing profession and realized that it was probably the lowest paying job in the world. And I said, but I don't understand. We're so essential to the economy. And I thought there's got to be a way to make a good living doing this, and I set my nose to it, and certainly there absolutely is. Blogging has been a way that opened up. I mean, I write articles for all kinds of magazines. I speak at universities, colleges, corporate groups, all that jazz, and it all comes from writing. So you don't have to just make your money writing. I write my blog, but because of my blog and because of my articles, people hire me to share what I have to say. So your writing is just a window into you. And by the way, I want to tell you, when I grow up, I want to be kinky.
Absolutely. Leather
any
is
day now. Any day now I want to grow up.
Leather is definitely a way to go.
It is my goal in life. I want to be kinky. I want to do it. I really do.
I got to tell you, I'm feeling the blog post coming on, and when I see it, I can see I'm going to laugh out loud.
Stay tuned for next week, because this week's already out. Maybe there'll be a kink blog next week. You never know.
Oh, my gosh. So what's new on the horizon for you? What have you got going on next?
Well, I have been, I've got an association with an organization called SCORE, which is the Senior Corps of Retired Executives, which is awesome that I can go out and do that. And I do have my whole year is planned with the gigs at universities and Cal State Northridge, and I've got a couple of conventions that I'm going to, that I'll be speaking to, and I've got some articles that I need to write for several magazines. So I'm a busy little girl, and I'm always, you know what I think we need to get into, and you have done this so wonderfully, Andy, is video. I think that those of us computers just turn that on, and I'm waiting to lose 30 pounds in about a week so that I can do my...
Stop. Listen, I'm going to have you on a Google Plus Hangout. That's what I'm going to do, and you're going to be all over it.
Oh, dear God.
You are going to love it. It's all about good lighting. I will send you the link for the lighting on Amazon.com.
I do need lighting. I'm thinking it's candlelight. It's candlelight.
Yeah, no, it's darkroom light.
I love it. All right, well, and I hear that I read this wonderful article done by a blogger that said when Barbra Streisand walks in, she has two people for lighting.
Yes.
Well, I get that now. I get it.
Oh God, yeah. I'm pleased. It's amazing what good lighting can do. Just watch any of my videos. Absolutely. But
I think I think that this summer I'm going to dabble into video blogs. What do you think of that?
I'm here for you. And also, I'm going to show you how to do them so that you do them on Google Plus, because that way you'll get the biggest bang for your buck.
Will you be my Google Plus girl?
I am. I'm all over that. I will show you. I'm a pro. It's so much fun.
You know what? You could be my bitch. How about that?
There we go. Exactly. I am so your bitch.
I just said something kinky. How about that?
I am there. I am sending... We will exchange it. We'll get a nice collar thing going on.
I love it.
Listeners, you've got to check out Tammy's offerings via her website at wittywomanwriting.com, or follow her on Facebook, Witty Woman, or on Twitter at Tammy Black. That's TammyBleck. And yes, if you need a sassy, entertaining speaker for your event, or a ghostwriter for your next book or blog, or some coaching, please, Tammy's your go-to goddess. Tammy, I'm going to have all these links in the archives at Bring Back Desire's website. I am so grateful that you joined me tonight. You always make my heart sing, and I'll continue to stalk you.
Pleasure is mine.
See you. I'll continue to see you.
The pleasure is mine. Someday we need to meet in person.
Yes, get a speaking gig out here in Boston, would you? We've got how many? 35 universities.
I really do have to work on that. And you know what? Congratulations on this is your 50th broadcast.
Yes, thank you.
It's kind of a big deal.
It is. You talk about consistency, right? Oh my gosh, I've learned
and consistently awesome is what it is. That's even better.
It is.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been just great. And listen, sweet dreams. And I love you, and I'll see you out there. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in and turning on to the 50th episode of After Dark Radio on A2Zen.fm. I'm your host, Andy Lyons, and I invite you to stay tuned in and turned on by visiting my website, BringBackDesire.com, where I carry everything a gal needs to get out of her head and back into bed. And, of course, I love hearing from you, so I'm at Andy Lyons on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook, and definitely visit the Bring Back Desire YouTube channel, where I'm always doing fun things like the Daily Quickie. Wishing everyone a week filled with love, joy, and laughter. And remember to keep deepening the intimacy, deepening the love, and deepening the erotic and kinky connection with your beloved self and your beloved partner.